Over to Annaji.
Namaskar. We have been studying in the last 5 lectures the very basic concept by which an individual can find fulfillment of his life and merge with the entire creation. There are two kinds of growth. One is vertical growth in himself, and two, he raises the society along with him. Our saints and rishis, they do not grow alone. They take the whole society with them, as Hanumanji did when he went to Sri Lanka. In that, the basic concept we found, Isha Vasamidam Sarvam, the entire creation is divine. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, the truth is one. The wise call it by many names. The human life is divine, and women also can become God. To make man realize there are many methods in Indian culture. The Sama, the method of persuasion, teaching, Veda, by isolating him from evil influences, Dana, by rewarding his good effects, and Danda, by punishing his bad effects. For which the social persuasion, for the very intelligent people, it is philosophy. It is the Jnana Marga. For the average people, it is the mythology, Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Puranas. For the very common people, the general run of the society, for them the ritual, the puja, the tirtha yatra. Therefore, whatever be the position or station or intellectual level of your life, the doors of heaven are open to each one of us. That is why, if we can quote people like Yajnavalkya or Vasishtha or Agastya who are very learned, there are 10 times more saints who are absolutely illiterate. They have never studied a book, but they also reached the highest level to which human beings can attain. For that, right from the mother's womb, there are various steps how to put samskara into the person's life. Therefore, we saw them the social samskara. All this process make man a very, very responsible man. You cannot shirk your duties. You cannot expect your guru or God or somebody else to play your role. You have to do your own duty. That is why Sri Krishna says, Uddaret Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet. There is a very old, 2000 years old Sangam poetry. Tidum Nandrum Pirar Taravara. Good and bad do not come from outside, they come from within. Therefore, there was one Jacques Monod. He was a biologist. He got the Nobel Prize for biology. He says, so far, evolution has been guided by nature and God. Now, man has to take in his own hands which way he will travel. He cannot put the burden on God, he cannot put the burden on chance. Therefore, his book is Chance and Necessity. Therefore, man is a very, very responsible person for charting the path on which he will go. And every action that he performs, that shapes his personality. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda says, your thoughts, they become your habit. Your habit become your action. Your action become your personality. Your personality becomes your destiny. Therefore, every moment we are shaping our own personality. We are shaping our own future. We cannot blame God for that. Na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya sratiti prabhu na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. In a such a short text like Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says 4 times swabhavastu pravartate. Nigraha kim karishyati vayurnavamivambasi. Therefore, kartum neichasi mohat karishyasi avashopitat. That how a human being cannot escape the results of his own action. Therefore, the karma that one performs, it shapes one man's present the future and to a certain extent even modifies its past. There is one scientist, Arthur Heisenberg. He says, why I like Sanatana Dharma most? I like most because it makes man a master of his own destiny, a master of his own life. He can chart his own life. He can travel on the life chart road chosen by him, by his own willpower. Therefore, God sitting somewhere in the heaven, he does not shape your life. You shape your life. It makes you very, very responsible. At the same time, you cannot escape the results of your action. Therefore, the role of karma in shaping human personality, it bestows man the greatest responsibility. He has to be cautious about every action that he performs. It is going to tell upon his future. And then every action produces some kind of fruit. Therefore, Newton third law, every action has got equal and opposite reaction. Therefore, this karma vidhi is every action has equal and opposite reaction, even in the moral level, even at the psychological level. When you perform an action, the bhava of the action, it gets stored in the depth of your personality. Therefore, at the right time, it shows its head, it gives result. Therefore, there is no action, there is no karma which does not produce a reaction. Shri Krishna says, most of our actions, they give their fruits, they give their efforts in this birth itself. Shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. The fruits of karma, they are available to man very fast. But if something is left, something is not fulfilled, something is not given the fruits of action, it is stored in the depths of one's memory and gives future birth. In the future birth, it gives him the fruit. But no action will go without fruit. Every action will have its own reaction, its own fruit. Therefore, there is no action which will just you do it and you forget it. But what happens when you perform an action, after some time you forget it. Then when the fruit comes, you forget that you are the person, you have started the action. Therefore, you do not know that you have caused the action. Then that result is called adrishta, the reason of which is not known to you. Sometimes between the action and its results, it may even be one birth, even it may be few births, or it may be immediate. That is why God is called the Kala. He gives the result according to the timing. Therefore, He chooses the timing of your efforts. When Adi Shankaracharya goes to a town called Mahishmati, he wanted to discuss with Mandana Mishra the efforts of action. Then he asks the people who are drawing water in the well, which is one is Mandana Mishra's house. The women say there is a house in front of which there are some parrots in the cages. The parrots will be talking to each other whether karma gives its own fruit or you require a deva or god to give the fruit. That house is Mandana Mishra's house. You can imagine how many times this conversation might have taken place, that even the parrots in that house, they repeat this conversation. Therefore, Swami Chinmayananda, he has reproduced the whole conversation. Whether karma gives its own fruits, there are Mimamsakas. They do not believe in any God. They believe the karma produces its own fruits of action. If I do something bad, I suffer. If I do something good, I enjoy. Therefore, whatever I sow, I reap. Therefore, there is no deva, there is no God required. But if you throw a ball, unless there is a wall, the ball will not come back to you. The wall it prevents the flow of the ball and sends it back to you. Therefore, that is a very passive role. But the speed with which you throw the ball with the same speed, it comes. Therefore, Manu also said, when you perform an action, you cannot escape the results of action. Therefore, he gives the example which I already quoted. In a village, there were 1,000 cows. The cows, they left their calves at their home and they went to the forest for grazing. In the morning, the cows come back. No cow will go to the wrong calf and give it milk by mistake. Every cow will go to its own calf. Similarly, every action, whether it is a meritorious action, a punya karma, or unmeritorious evil action, a papa karma, it will come back to me. I cannot escape the fruits of action. Therefore, this is the basis of our morality. Why I should be good to others? Because if I do anything evil, it will come back to me. It will come back to me in the most inopportune time. A time I wanted, I don't want it. One fellow cheated other fellow only for 2 rupees. Therefore, he should suffer only 2 rupees worth of papam. But unfortunately, when he was going to his father-in-law's house, he lost the railway ticket which was 2 rupees worth. What kind of apamana he will get? What kind of insult he will get? Therefore, this kind of multiplication effect the kala does, the time does. Therefore, it is you perform the action, you suffer the results of action, but the timing of it is chosen by the kala. Therefore, this is a very, very important rule. But many times we forget that we have performed the action, we have done the good thing, we have done the bad thing. When the results of the good or bad thing they come to us, we have forgotten that we are the originator of the entire dynamics. We think it is adrishta. We do not know the reason, but actually we are the people who have started it. And then there are devas. Devas are the higher reality. They study the bhavana, the thought with which you perform an action. Accordingly, they give result. For example, I go to a temple. I wanted to offer 1 rupee to the temple. But by mistake, a 10 rupee note slipped my hand and fell into the temple plate. I said, okay, I will get 10 rupees worth of punya. But the pujari will say, no, you will get 10 rupees of expenditure and 1 rupee worth of punya because you wanted to give only 1 rupee. Therefore, this thought behind the action, that also has got weightage. Not only the physical action, the intention, the bhavana, the motive, the psychological background of that action. For example, I may give you 5 rupees. Oh, the whole world will say, oh, he has given a dana 5 rupees. But I might have cheated you 100 rupees. You have forgotten that you have given me 100 rupees. I give you 5 rupees and try to appease you. Therefore, the devas keep stock of it and they give fruits accordingly. Therefore, devas, they study the depths of, after all, who are devas? They are our own inner personality. That we have seen in one of the lectures. Therefore, the inner personality, it produces the fruits of action according to the merit of that action. And then there are two kinds of devas, and man himself will become a deva. Those who perform good action and become devas, they are called dharma devas, karma devas. Some people are born as ajana jana deva. The Veda puts karma deva as ahead of ajana jana deva. You might have seen in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Therefore, a man performing meritorious action, being born as a deva, is put at a higher level than a man born as a deva automatically. And then every person over the years, he accumulated a lot of tendencies, the action which he will perform, the actions which he will not perform, the mental thoughts, the the likes, the dislikes. Therefore, accordingly, when a man is born, the kind of work that he will do, the kind of parents he will have, the kind of job he will have, the kind of social environment he will have, the kind of friendship he will have, all of them are his own creation. They are produced by himself. They are not bestowed upon him an angry God. He has earned it by his own method. Therefore, a man's action performed through many births, they accumulate and they become his samskara. And then they give him some kind of action. It is called swakarma. It gives him some emotion. It is called swabhava. And it gives him some karma, swakarma. You are born in this birth to spend out some of the effects of karma. Therefore, that is your swakarma. If you do not do it sufficiently, for example, you are given a birth, you can spend so much of your karma vasana in this birth. You do not spend it totally, you are a tamasic person. You overspend it. You go for a bath, instead of washing your body, you get more dirt. You become dirtier than before. Then a man may perform karma, he may spending away the karma vasana, the karmic energy, he may accumulate more karma. He is a tamasic, rajasic person. A sattvic person is in this birth. You can spend out so much of your karma vasana, you spend exactly that amount. Nothing less, nothing more. Therefore, that is a sattvic person. Therefore, the sattvika karma, the rajasika karma, in which a person kriyate bahula ayasam. He overdoes with this body, with this intellect, with this mind, with this action. If I can spend away 10 kilos of my karma vasana, if I try to spend 20 kilos, I accumulate minus effort. Therefore, this karma can be divided into sattvika, rajasa, and tamasa. The next. Every action is performed with some desire for action. The Shastra is very, very clear. Just because you should not have desire for the fruits of action, it does not mean you should do work which is worthless. No. If your action does not produce any result, you are a tamasic karta. You are useless man. There is one epic in Greek called Ulysses. That Ulysses, he goes and plows the sea sand. Sea sand plowing, what result it will give? That is a tamasic yajna. You work, you produce some good fruits, but you are greedy for it. You want to own it. You want to have it yourself. Then that is a rajasic karma. A sattvika karta is one who performs very well, produces excellent fruits of action, he produces excellent results, but he does not claim that he is the master. He does not claim he is the doer. Sir, is it possible? Yes. I have seen M.S. Subbulakshmi singing. When she sings, she does not sing that she is going to get a Magsaysay award, or she is going to get a Bharat Ratna, or she is going to get a lakh of rupees. When I see Bhupen Hazarika Sahab singing a song, he is not worried the kind of applause you and I are going to give. He is not worried whether he is going to Bharat Ratna or not. Whether he is millions of listeners, they listen to him. No, he sings for the pleasure of it. That is Sattvika Karma. Therefore, the fruit is there, but you do not feel that you are performing the action. Eknath Ranade, who was the force behind the construction of the Rock Memorial, after completing the Rock Memorial, he will go and stand in the beach and wonder who built this Rock Memorial. That means for 6-7 years, he was in a mood like a samadhi. He did not know so much of creative, so much of constructive, so much of positive, so much of productive Energy is flowing out of his body, which is shaping the rock memorial. Simply he was doing without the ego. Therefore, even today there are people. You go to a good music concert, you go to a good artist, you go to a good person who does for the work for the good of the world, then he is a person who can absolutely do the work. For that, what is the criterion? You should enjoy doing that work. When you do not enjoy doing the work, you depend upon outside reward. Somebody else to applaud, somebody else to give to the wages, somebody else to give you money, somebody to give you a prize. When you are satisfied with the job, you don't care for the whole world. You are happy with you are very peaceful because your productive energies, your creative energies, your peaceful energies, they flow out of your body. Therefore, you are an actor, but you do not have the ego that you are the doer. You produce excellent result. You do not have the ego that you produce the result. Even today, there are people who do such kinds of work. There was one Shankar Rao Dev, a Maharashtrian. Vinoba used to call him, yeah, Buddha Deva, yeah, real Buddha avatar, yeah, Siddhartha, he used to call him. Very ordinary person, doing very ordinary day-to-day work. But his spiritual growth was such that he did not bother. Therefore, next time when you go to a good concert, a good cinema, a good drama, a good artistic performance, a good seva performance, see how the worker, doer, he does the job without attachment, without a desire for the fruits of action. Therefore, if you enjoy doing the work, your concentration will not go away, you will not search for an applause, a prize, a Padma Shri, Bharat Ratna. You are not bothered about anything. You enjoy, you are at peace with your work. Your mind doesn't run away with your work. Therefore, one Nihili, he has analyzed the brain waves of those people who are in the state of dharana, in the very creative mood. Then their brain waves, they are so even, so peaceful that this person is so creative, but his brain waves show that how productive he is, at the same time how peaceful he is. The combination of these two is the great action of the work without desire for fruits of action. The next point. This karma has got a number of ways in which it interferes with our life. Therefore, there is the very, very common actions of the day. When Arjuna asks Sri Krishna about an ideal person, what question he asks? Stitaprajnasya kabasha samadhistasya keshava stitadihi kim prabhasheta kim asita prajeta kim. The ideal person, how does he sit? How does he walk? He does not talk. How does he give lectures on Vedanta? A great man's that sthita prajnata, that stable consciousness, it shows in the most common action. They are, in fact, the best way of judging a man. When Annie Besant was asked, you join Gandhiji's movement for a freedom fight, she said, I will go and meet Gandhi. What kind of man he is? When Annie Besant went to meet Gandhi, Gandhi was tearing a piece of paper. But he was doing it so thoroughly as if he is cutting it with a scissor. Then Annie Besant said, if a man can bestow so much concentration, so much attention, so much care in such a common, ordinary job, then how much attention and care he will bestow on building the nation, I will join his movement. Therefore, the ideal person is not judged by his great work, very, very ordinary, samanya dharma. Therefore, when you are in a village, you will have to sleep in such a way your feet are above, your head is low. I don't know how it is in Assam. In Tamil Nadu, the east is towards the sloping. Therefore, we have to sleep facing our head in the east, our feet on the west. Therefore, even in sleeping, you will have to sleep in such a way the blood flows to your head. When you are in your house, you have to feed the poor before you eat. It is Atiti Dharma. When you are in your own village, you will have to go to your Devalaya every day. When you are in a common mood, you will have to take bath every day. Therefore, the most ordinary things of life, they reveal what kind of person you are. Therefore, the dharma, it need not be very extraordinary. Everybody cannot build a rock memorial or sing like Bhupenda. Even in the very ordinary actions, it will reveal what kind of person you are. That is why in our dharma, the smallest actions like eating, sleeping, wearing dress, taking bath, washing clothes, they are also codified according to the dharma. Therefore, when you are in your natural conditions, in your own village, you cannot eat without seeing whether all your dependents have taken food. There may be servants in your house, there may be guests in your house. You have to feed them before you eat. You have to go to Devalaya. Before you eat your lunch, you have to perform Panchamahayajna. Therefore, the most ordinary things have been codified. And second, Vishesh Dharma. There are special actions. For example, you are ill. You are not able to take bath. Then what you do? You sip a little of Ganga Jal. You apply vibhuti. Or you go to a Goshala, Shashwat Gokula Nirdutotira Duli Dusara Saubhagyam. The dust rising from the feet of the cow, they should fall on your head. That is snana. It is called the Goduli snana. Because your temperature is high, you cannot take bath. Therefore, these are Vishesha karma. When you are in a outside your village, you don't know where Devalaya is. Therefore, you will have to remember the temple in your own village. These are Vishesha circumstances. But you will have to observe dharma then also in a slightly modified form. But there is no escape from practicing dharma. There is no escape from observing the karma. But only thing is, there is a modification. Therefore, when you are outside, you yourself are a guest. You cannot feed a guest. Therefore, such exemptions are always there in Vishesha karma. The third is Naimitya karma. There are special occasions. Amavasya is there. Ekadashi is there. You have to observe Upavasa. Surya Grahana is there. You have to perform japa. Vijayadashmi is there. In the on the Dashara day, the hour between the sun setting and the nakshatra udaya, it is called the Vijaya Muhurta. It is the most successful Muhurta. That is the best time for performing japa. Surya Grahana, Chandra Grahana, they are the best occasion for performing japa. They yield, produce 100 times the result. Therefore, these are occasional Naimitika dharma. They do not come in the Samanya or Vishesha dharma. The fourth is Apat dharma. Normally, you should practice ahimsa. You should not kill. But when your life is itself is danger, the Shastra says you have to kill. Therefore, for a grahastha, he should never put his life in danger. Only if a sannyasi, when he goes out of his house, he has to say, outside, when my existence puts any life to danger, I will rather give up my life than put any other life to danger. For a grahastha, he doesn't have that right. He can even kill. Therefore, this is called apadharma. When your life is in danger, you are exempted. You are permitted to tell a lie. You are permitted to protect yourself. In fact, for a grahastha, even to think about death is a sin. When you go to Kashi, when you go to Prayag, when you go to Gaya, you have to perform a sankalpa. In that sankalpa, if ever by mistake, by ignorance, I have thought about death, that I will die. Oh God, please excuse me. You have to perform a price. Therefore, giving up life is the option only for the sannyasi. For the grahastha, it is never option because the life is the most precious thing. Sharira matram kalu dharma sadhanam. Sharira madhyam kalu dharma sadhanam. Therefore, only if you have got a sharira, you can practice dharma. Therefore, a grahastha is not permitted to think even about truth. And then, for example, Uchishta, when somebody has eaten food, you should not eat the balanced food. Leftover, you should not eat. Uchishtam, Bhojanam, Tamasa Priyam, Sri Krishna says. In the Upanishad, there is a beautiful story. Once there was a huge famine. There was no food available. Therefore, one Panditji went to a village of elephant herds, Mahots. There was so much of poverty of food. Man was eating horse grass. Then this Panditji goes and asks, I am starving for so many days. Please give me a little food. That fellow gives a little leftover from what he was eating. And then he says, Panditji, there is water. Then this Pandit says, no, I will not eat uchishta. Then that man, that elephant herd asked, now I gave you food from my, what was left over from my patram. He said, there is plenty of water. I can do my purushartha and go and drink water. To what extent of dharma has been observed to the minimum. Of dharma is going away from dharma. The moment that apat is removed, you come back to the dharma. For that minimum of the exemption, that is the apat dharma. The second is kamya karma. A man has to have good desires, positive desires. They perform so many yajnas for good progeny, for the wealth, defeating of the enemies, Ashwamedha Yaga, Rajasuya Yaga. The Chakravarti has to establish himself, Chandi Homa. Therefore, these are very dharma, aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. Therefore, positive good desire for that huge areas. For example, a person does not have children, he will perform putra kameshti. Therefore, these are called kamya karmas. They are performed with desire for fruits of action. It is permitted for a grahastha. Then the next, the rina. A man is indebted to his mother, his father, and a teacher. The Shastra says these rinas, these debts can never be paid. Therefore, whatever my father has done to me, whatever my mother has done to me, whatever my teacher has done to me, I cannot pay back at all. Therefore, what do I do? What do we saw the story of Jaratkaru? Jaratkaru has to produce good children to pay back the rana to his father. Or one has to become a sannyasi and realize God. Then 21 generations before him and 21 generations after him, they also realize God. Then Matrurina, even a sannyasi has to respect mother. Then a sannyasi's mother dies, the sannyasi has to go to take bath. Therefore, the Matrurina can never be paid back. And then the Gururina. The teacher has given me so much knowledge. How to discharge that Rina? I cannot teach the teacher back. Therefore, what I will have to do? Whatever love my teacher has shown to me, I have to show to my disciples. The way my teacher has produced me, has shaped me, has given me positive instruction, I have to give to the next generation the same kind of love, the same kind of teaching, the same kind of knowledge. Therefore, these rinas are to be paid by showing our love, showing of the dharma pravritti to the next generation. We cannot pay back to our father, mother, or teacher because they are so big, they are so generous that rina can never be paid back. The Dharmasastra says. Only way of paying back those debts is to produce children who take the family name, produce children who take the mother's name, produce disciples who take the guru's name. In fact, the concept of Gotra comes from the disciples who tie their cows in the same shed of the guru. They all belong to same Gotra. Afterwards, only father's Gotra became the son's Gotra. It is a much later development. The original concept of Gotra is, it comes from the word go. Therefore, all the students of a teacher, they tie their cows in the guru's shed. Therefore, they all belong to Gotra. If you have gone to Ramakrishna Mission, whenever they perform the Havan, they will call themselves Ramakrishna Gotra. The Guru's Gotra becomes their own Gotra. Therefore, the Rina, the debt, the indebtedness to our father, mother, and Guru, they can never be repaid. They can be shown only to the next generation, so that the Dharma flows. This starting of the program, our Dalmiaji sang that song, Kal Kal Chal Chal. That Ganga Pravah, for thousands of years they have been going. Dr. Radhakrishnan, the President of India, says, what is culture? Culture is one generation gives its accumulated knowledge to the next generation. That is culture. Therefore, this Rana concept, it keeps the culture, the Ganga of culture flowing. Next, there is a famous question, can karma give moksha? About which there are two controversies. Gita says, karmanaihi samsiddhim astita janakadaya. There are people who have interpreted it that Janaka, by performing karma, he attained samsiddhi. Shankaracharya says, karma cannot directly give moksha. It purifies the mind. It gives karmana chitta suddhi, the Shastra says. It purifies the mind, in which moksha can be reflected, because moksha doesn't come from outside. It is within. It is your own nature. It cannot come by karma. It will only go away by karma. And then finally, prayaschitta. If I have committed some mistake, then after committing that papa karma, I realize that I have committed a sin. What do? Then there is a prayaschitta. But prayaschitta will not remove the entire dosha, entire pain of the karma. It can only reduce the intensity of the karma. Holy Mother Sharada Devi tells the story. There was one Surada. That fellow has offered 1,000 goats in a yajna, cutting their heads in yajna. These goats were waiting. This Surada will be born like a goat. We will all be born like a human being. We will kill him. Then Surada, after offering 1,000 goats, he realized that he has committed this papam. Therefore, he went and begged Parashakti. Parashakti gave him a vardhan. What is that vardhan? All the 1,000 goats will be born as human being at one time. This Surada will be born as a goat. All of them will kill him at one time. Therefore, their vengeance of killing Surada back, that is fulfilled. Surada's papa also comes down, but at least once he has to die. Therefore, prayaschitta will reduce the intensity of pain, the suffering of your bad action. It will not completely remove. Chinmayananda Swami goes one step ahead and says, to commit a sin is its own punishment. You don't deserve another punishment. Sin itself is a punishment. Buddhinasha. Your buddhi does not help you. Therefore, sin itself is a punishment. Why do you require a separate punishment for the sin? Therefore, performing an evil act is a punishment in itself. You have fallen from your great state of a fine human being. The next panel. Next panel. Now comes the great question which is shaking the whole world. Whatever karma I perform, some portion of the fruits of that action I enjoy in this birth itself. Chipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. But my actions are not sufficient to spend away all the karma vasana. What happens then? Then all the Shastras say, yeah, the spirit of it, the bhavana of it forms a karana sharira. Just like you have got a physical body, just like you have got a pranic body, just like you have got a mental body, you have got a karana sharira or linga sharira. When this person dies, that linga sharira goes with the stock of the samskara to the next birth. Therefore, this is the basis of a man being born. There is a great controversy. In many countries, they don't believe in rebirth. But in the last few years, the concept of rebirth has been studied again and again. In Jaipur University, there was a department of parapsychology. One Dr. Banerjee, he went and established. He has recorded 600 cases of rebirth. People remembering exactly where they were born in the earlier birth. Therefore, now there is a documented issue. A thing like rebirth cannot be proved by experimental. You have only by guessing, anumana only. You can only guess. You can put 2 and 2 and make 4. There is no way of directly checking the concept of rebirth. But this Dr. Banerjee has done extensive work and 600 cases of rebirth he has recorded. Therefore, a person gets the birth according to the karma vasanas he has done. His the effects of his karma go as the linga sharira. They envelop the soul, and the soul itself doesn't do anything. Atma doesn't do anything. But in the panel, but the karana sharira, it goes and produces the next birth. Very interesting thing happened. You know, Europeans do not believe in such concepts at all. In one Irish town, one elderly lady, she hit her cot by the knee, and she started talking in a language which nobody in Ireland understood. What language she is talking? Therefore, there is a department of South Asian and African tribes in Oxford University. They called the professor. The professor said, this lady, old lady, talks in a language which is a tribal dialect of South Africa. They went and checked. Whatever she said about her earlier birth, it exactly tallied. That was the first time when Europe woke up. Yes, this rebirth about which Indian culture is talking is not a myth. There is an evidence. That lady does not even know where that South Africa is. But she talks in a language which is a South African tribal language. And then in Buddhism, this concept of rebirth is very, very important because Buddha himself, in this Buddha Jataka story, there are some 550 births of Buddha. For a person to be elected as a Dalai Lama, before he is 3 years old, he has to remember his earlier birth. After 3 years, perhaps, he will pick up a little word in how to tell lies. Therefore, the child has to say where he was born, what was his name, who are his parents, before he becomes 3 years old. Only that child is selected as the Dalai Lama. Therefore, these are many indirect evidences to show that rebirth is a truth. A Sri Lankan doctor has recorded a number of cases. Then the most interesting comes from one Dr. Weiss. He was a psychotherapist. He was a Jew. He did not believe in God. He did not believe in religion. He was practicing in America. A patient came to him. Then in psychotherapy, there is an infinite regress. The doctor takes the patient psychologically through the past. You remember yesterday, remember day for yesterday, remember last year, remember your childhood. When he was taking that lady, one patient, through the journey, she started talking about 500, 5,000, 6,000 years back. Then this Dr. Weiss found there is documentary evidence of what she was talking about. Then he started analyzing the concept of rebirth, and every case he found there is evidence. He has written a beautiful book, Many Lives, Many Masters. In Kendra, when we read it, it became a very, very popular book. Then I lent the book to somebody, he Xerox it and gave to somebody. Therefore, now people who did not believe in rebirth, they also, they cannot escape the results of what they really observe. Then, whether the rebirth takes place immediately or after a gap, after the song, we will discuss the topic. We can have a song, Suman. When a person passes away, as I told you, the Sukshma karmas in the form of a Linga Sharira follow him. The Vedas say both possibilities. One, it gives the example of a worm. A worm is walking on a tinka, a straw. But before leaving this straw, it picks up another straw and leaves the first straw. Therefore, there are people, before they die, they pick up the next body. And then there are evidences, there are saints who have said, I am going to be born such and such such. Therefore, there may not be any gap at all between one birth and the other birth. And there are others who, Vinobaji gives the example of pi, 22/7. If you live for 22 years, there will be 7 years without a body. That is, depending upon the punya or papa a man has come, in a disembodied state, he suffers or is happiness, is enjoying happiness. That is what we call heaven and hell. Most religions of the world, they talk about heaven and hell only. Only Sanatana Dharma talks about a concept called moksha, from which man does not come back. Therefore, from heaven and hell, one has to come back. How many years of heaven and hell? Vinobaji says 22/7. If you have lived for 22 years in this birth, there will be 7 years. If you are 70 years, then 21 years. Like that, this pi concept he told us once. Therefore, this idea of a gap, for both there are evidences in the Vedas themselves. A gap between one birth and the other, there is a continuous birth. And many saints have said, I am going to be born, I have chosen the body in which I am going to be born. Therefore, rebirth as a concept, they started studying, especially when the AIDS was in a very serious plague all over the world. They conducted some controlled studies in the deathbed. They put the dying patient and they had a video photograph. And then some doctors claim they observed when a person smokes a cigarette, that rings come, something like that, a very hazy thing comes out of the body. Therefore, there is documentary evidence, they have photographed, they have videographed. And more interesting than that, I told my friends to search for it, they could not search for it. Long back, there was a paper on British MP. He had a very, very rich sister. When that rich sister died, she created a museum in her name. Therefore, in that museum, there were very precious things. There were a lot of video cameras and that stepping pads. When somebody enters that museum, if they will have to put their feet on the pad, then it will start ringing. If unauthorized person is entering, then the video cameras will automatically be switched off. They will photograph who is coming, especially in the night time. Then repeatedly they found in the night hours, this alarm bell started ringing, that pad was stepped upon, and they found a silhouette, an outline of his sister. That was the first time the West recorded the image of a dead person. Therefore, all these evidences, they clubbed together, make a big list. There was an English book, a catalogue of English ghosts. England where you can see which ghost on which day you can see. There is a list also. Therefore, there are collecting evidence. Some people say this is all myth, but mounting evidence, you cannot ignore them. There is so much evidence coming from different corners of the world. from different religions of the world, from different disciplines of the world. You cannot ignore all of them. Therefore, man is, and then in one hospital, two children are born, one child is taken to um, literally a silver spoon, a very rich house, another child is thrown into the dustbin. What punyam or papam they have committed in this birth? Therefore, it has to be only accumulated karma of the earlier birth. But whenever we talk about punya and papa, there is a social courtesy. The Shastra says, when the other person is suffering, do not say, he has performed a papa, therefore he is suffering. You should never say that. When you suffer, you can say, yes, I have committed some papam, therefore I am suffering. When you are happy, don't say, I have performed some punya action, therefore I am happy. Don't say that. When somebody else is happy, you say that he has performed some meritorious action, that is why he is happy. Therefore, the papa of others should not be referred. Your own punya should not be referred. These are certain social courtesies while talking about papa and punya. And then this behavioral pattern also changes from time to time. This I could not bring in the panel. I will read from. There is a concept of kula achara. Every family has got its own usages, its own custom. For example, in South India, there are certain families on the Shraddha day, they will not worship God first. They will worship the forefathers first, only after that only they will worship God. There are other families who will worship God first and then only forefathers. These are called Kula Achara. Every family has got its own behavioral pattern. It is some kind of local dharma. The second is Desha Achara. For example, in South India, every worship of God is with Abhishekam. You pour water, you pour ghee, you pour milk, you pour curd, you pour honey on the God's statue. In North India, that custom is not there. Rama and Sita are dressed in woolen clothes in winter. In summer, they put kaskas ki tati and throw water in it. Sita will have a lady's watch. Therefore, this is called the Desha Achara. When I went to Muktinath, I was surprised that the pujari was wearing chappal before offering Nivedana to God. In South Indian temple, it is unthinkable. But there the temperature is so low. Therefore, the pujari is exempted from doing it. This is called the Desha Achara. The third is Kala Achara. From every time, Swami Vivekananda says, if Manu comes today, he will change some of his laws. Therefore, untouchability. In the modern era, it has no place in the civil society also. For some reason, it might have been there in the past. We cannot quote the Shastra for evil things. This is called the Kala Achara. Therefore, the Achara, the dharmic behavior changes from family to family. What is good for your family may not be good for my family. Because the family traditions are to be maintained. Achara prabhavo dharma, dharmasya prabhurachyata. The dharma comes from the achara, the kind of behavior. It differs from family to family. It differs from time to time. It differs from place to place. Therefore, with some generosity, we have to interpret the concept of achara. Then panel 6 by 5. We have already seen it is possible. Panel 6 by 5. 6 by 5. Is it possible to perform action without desire for fruits of action? It is possible. There is a marvelous verse in the Gita. Sakta karmane avidvamso yata kurvanti bharata kuryat vidwan tata asaktah chikishur lok sangraha. You see a person who is very greedy, and then how he performs the action, but for selfish ends. But a good person, a sattvic person, will have to perform action with the same verve, with the same zeal, same enthusiasm, without the fruits of action. That is why Swami Vivekananda's action, that is why Mahatma Gandhi's action, That is why the yogic rishis, the Vedic rishis action, they are prized. It is possible for a person to work for the good of the world. Loka sangrahameva pi, for the good of the world, for the happiness of others, for removing the sorrow of others. Therefore, Mata Mridanandama used to say, if it is his bad karma that he suffers, it is your karma that he suffers in front of you. Therefore, you have to go and wipe out his tears. Why there are so many people in the world? Why that man should suffer in your front of you? Therefore, this concept of karma, it is possible. It is said, the Shastra says, God Himself creates some Purna Atmas. A person who does not have Lanavaptam Avaptavyam Vartayeva Chakarmani. The person, Krishna does not want anything. He is a Kritakritya. He is a complete itself. Vartayeva Chakarmani. He continues to act. There are saints who do not even want moksha. Even that Brahmanubhava also has got. But they continue to work for the good of the people. To be example for the people. Therefore, the Gita says, Sakta karmane avidvamso yata kurvanti bharata. A selfish man, how enthusiastically now elections are going to come. You see politicians, how they work 24 hours a day. There was one great doctor, Dr. Venkateswamy, the founder of Aravind Hospital. What America does in $1,500, he does in $30. Cataract operation in Kendra, we do it free because of his health. He used to say, he showed me one business house reaching the villages. How the business house is going to villages to sell their soap and oil and all that. You see, the selfish people, they are so enthusiastic, so well planned, so well organized. If they can do it for money, should we not do 100 times more efficiently for God? A social worker should be 100 times more efficient than a money maker. The enthusiasm which a money maker, a business house shows, then only I could understand the shloka Sakta Karmane Vidvams. The greedy person, a selfish person, how enthusiastic. Din aur raat ek karte. But with the same enthusiasm, a good person has to work for the good of the world, Loka Sangraham Evap. And finally, there are some people, very good people, suffer. The Shastra very beautifully says they suffer first and their sufferings are compensated by God later. It may look very unsympathetic, very illogical, very immoral. But you should remember, God does not have the concept of time. Before and after, the idea it does not exist as far as God is concerned. Therefore, there are some people who suffer first and get their compensation later on. Therefore, in God's terminology, perhaps in nature's terminology, before, after, earlier, these things do not exist. Which is earlier, which is later, we do not know at all. Therefore, there are people who do not deserve to suffer at all, they suffer. It is just like paying the price and getting the stuff sometime later. It also happens in nature. Therefore, the concept of karma, a man is his own master. Every action that he performs, it shapes, shapes his personality, shapes his life, shapes his future life, and shapes what kind of working environment, what kind of family he love. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brishto Bajayate. Arjuna asks Krishna, if a man practices yoga, before his yogic efforts get fulfilled, this fellow kicks the bucket, he dies, what will happen? Will all his effort go fat? Will go useless? No. Krishna says it will get accumulated, he will start with a great fund of samskara. And Vinobaji gives the example of Jnaneshwara, who at the age of 9, he had all the Shastras. Shankaracharya, who can believe that an 8-year-old child has completed all his studies by his 8-year-old? Therefore, the accumulated wisdom of many births, it never goes for Nahi Kalyana Krit Kasyate Durgatim Tata Gacchati.
Sri Krishna says, if a man has got good intention, his effort do not go waste at all. Therefore, all the good actions are accumulated. He is born in a family in which he finds a very good atmosphere for doing positive work, good work, elevating work, which will be good for himself, good for others. Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe, a pure and rich family he is born. Therefore, the accumulated wisdom, I found that day one Arya Bainik from Bengal, a 4-year-old, 5-year-old young man, singing such a beautifully. How he could not have learned so much of music within 4 or 5 years. One Arya Bainik. Such a beautiful voice, such a beautiful telling of ragas, singing of ragas. Hardly he can hardly stand up or wear a dhoti. Such a young child. Pune, they received him, a Bengali boy. They applauded him. They gave him very good concert opportunity. Therefore, this kind of accumulative wisdom is a specialty. Now, modern science is saying there are two ways in which your wisdom is collected in the body. One is vertical, the evolution. Right from the monkey, we at every stage we collect memories. All the memory is stored in our brain. And then horizontally, there are two scientists who have written a book. You are not alone in your thinking. The entire culture, whatever thoughts they have got, you share them. Some kind of communication takes place with the society. Therefore, each one of us, we are vertically connected to our forefathers, horizontally connected to our contemporary society. This is the latest science is talking. Therefore, the concept of karma, the concept of merit and reward, the concept of memory, they are all subjects of science. Now, science is helping Vedanta to study. We will go for the next panel. Six. Next panel. Once an action is performed, naturally, people wake up a little late. Therefore, what to do if you have done something wrong? How to overcome it? The Shastra says there are a number of ways by which the evil effect of the past can be neutralized. The cumulative effect of all our action is called Sanchita Karma, accumulated karma vasana. A small portion of it, it starts giving the results in this birth. It is called prarabdha, that which has started giving the fruits of action. And the remaining, it may give results in the future. It is called agami. But if a man is a true devotee of God, he can do away with all the three. Ramana Maharshi gives the beautiful example. When Dasharatha died, all his 3 wives became widows. Therefore, if a man realizes he is not a karta, he is not a body, all his sanchita karma, prarabdha karma and agama karma, they will all get dissolved. But there is a small rider. What is that rider? That prarabdha karma, the karma which has started giving its own fruits, the impact will be lessened, it will not go away. It will be there. But you will not feel it at all. Ramana Maharshi goes to the extent of saying, others may feel that the saint is suffering. The saint may not feel any suffering at all. Therefore, this kind of overcoming the fruits of action, there is a prohibition. Otherwise, what will happen? This is what is happening to many religions of the world. You do good acts, you enjoy. You do bad acts, you suffer. You go in this cycle. When are you to come out of the cycle? There should be a provision to come out of the cycle. What is the best way? You do good acts without a sense of doership. I am the doer. I will enjoy the fruits of action. Therefore, you do positive, you do good, you do sattvic karma, but you do not own the fruits of action, you do not have the ahankara. Then this sattvic karma will not bind you, it will not give you rebirth, it will not give you samskara, it will not give you uh, make you be born again and again. Therefore, this wisdom can be obtained through number of ways. One is bhakti. If you pray to God, I told you the example of Surata, who prayed to Parashakti, he committed a mistake to overcome. It will not be totally removed, but the impact, the pain, it will be reduced. Therefore, bhakti, nama japa, these are all very good ways of working out the karma vasana. The second is jnana. What is jnana? The body is doing all the actions. The Atma doesn't do anything. Therefore, you identify yourself with that portion of your personality, the Atman, which does not do anything. Oh, the body did things, the body suffers. I am not the body, therefore I am not the sufferer. Therefore, withdrawing oneself, for example, I am wearing a red shirt today. I am not the shirt, the shirt is torn. I am not torn. Therefore, the jnani is able to withdraw himself. He goes inside and inside that the body suffers, he does not suffer. Sri Ramakrishna suffered cancer. Guru Golwalkarji suffered cancer. Ramana Maharshi suffered cancer, but they never said we suffered. The body suffered. Chinmayananda used to say, if the mic is wrong, nothing wrong with me. It is the mic that is gone, it to be repaired. There is nothing wrong with me. I am all right. It is the mic that has gone fault. Therefore, jnana is withdrawing oneself, that kind of detachment with the body. Our people have practiced. The body suffers, I don't suffer. To that intensity of jnana. For example, when you are sleeping, somebody abuses you, somebody praises you. Do you know it? You don't know it. For a jnani, even when he is awake, he is in that state, that of detachment from the body. The fourth is Bhagirathana Prayatana. Vள்ளுவர் says, உழையும் முப்பக்கம் காண்பர் உழைவின்றி தழாது ஜெற்றுவர். Terrible amount of effort. Then you can overcome the past. After all, past is also a karma. Therefore, I can do intense effort. I can change the past. But the tragedy of life is many people do not do that kind of hard work. They just want a dallying religion, handshake religion, very light religion. They do not want that kind of Bhagirathana Prabhu. That intensity of Urayam Muppakam Kanda. They will see the backside of it, Vள்ளுவர் says. And then fourth is satsang. The company of the saints, it can change. Papa Ramadas, whose disciples have performed 31,000 crores Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. All over the world, there is a Ramanama movement. 31,000 crores they have done. Mataji, his disciple, took a sankalpa of 15,500 crores. Now they have completed 2 rounds, and in the third round, 7,000 crores they have done. That's Papaji tells a story. One fellow's Janmapatra was written, he will not get any child. Therefore, he appeals to God. God says you will not get any child because it is there. Your karma does not. Then, next time when Narada comes that way, there are some children playing in that house. Then Narada says, this might be some work some saint. Only saints can rule out what God has decreed. That kind of power saints have got. Therefore, Narada says, saints have got that kind of compassion that they can overrule God himself. And God in his love, humility, and perhaps smiling, he accepts what he thinks. That is the power of satsang. Therefore, there are certain ways. Karma is like many religion, many cultures of the world. You do good things, you enjoy. You do bad things, you suffer. But how to come out of this cycle? That is Nishkama karma, good karma without asakti. Then bhakti, then jnana, then bhagirata prayatna. These are certain ways of overcoming the effects of karma. Now we will have a few points from lecture number 7, and then we close. Go for 7. 7-1.
Annaji, which you want?
7-1. Sri Rama killing Wali. 7-1.
Okay, okay, okay. This one.
Yeah.
There.
Thank you. See, in life, the path of dharma, though it is very, very clear cut, when it comes to our personal level, everybody has got what we call the dharma sankata, the moral dilemma. The problem is so big. Very senior IAS officer, put in 20-30 years of IAS service, they go to Rashtrapati Bhavan, Indian Institute of Advanced Study in Shimla. They studied the impact of culture on the economy and the law and situation of the world. They have produced a book, The Moral Dilemmas of Mahabharata. How in our scripture, the great heroes also face that moral dilemma, whether to do this or to do this. This Dharma Sankata, it comes to the life of each one of us. Therefore, we will have to face it. The book will not help, the Guru will not help. You will have to face it and suffer the consequences. Therefore, there are certain examples of great men who have suffered. Valmiki portrays Sri Rama as a perfect human being, but even had to face Vali. He has to kill Vali from behind a tree. Therefore, according to that Manava Sastra, according to the Manushya Dharma, it is not a right thing. But why Rama did it? Rama weighs in his hand. What are the possibilities? One, he has to kill Vali from hiding. Why? Vali has got a chain around his neck. Whoever stands in front of him, half the strength of the person will come to Vali. Therefore, nobody can kill Vali in a face-to-face fight. That is the provision. Taking advantage of this Varadanam, he usurped somebody else's wife, his own brother's wife. And then, if Rama leaves him, this Vali is going to join Ravana, who has performed another act of adharma, who has usurped another man's wife. Therefore, Rama has that Dharma Sankata, whether to kill Vali from behind a tree or allow Vali to join Ravana, and the adharmic forces to become very big. Therefore, of the two evils, which is the lesser evil? Killing Vala from behind the tree is the lesser evil. Therefore, Rama chose it. For each one of us, a situation will come. If it is between choosing right and wrong, even the child knows you will have to choose the right. But that option comes very rarely in an adult's life. That comes very, very rarely, it doesn't come at all. The chances of life are whether you are going to do a bigger mistake or a smaller mistake. The Shastra says you do the smaller mistake and undergo the suffering for it. But the suffering will be much less than if you do the bigger mistake. Therefore, if Rama does not kill Vali, that Vali who has stolen other man's wife, he will go and join Ravana who has stolen other man's wife, and these forces of adharma will engulf the whole world. To prevent it, Rama did a small act of adharma. Therefore, Rama suffers. Arjuna says in Mahabharata, when Dharmaraja tells a lie, you are going to get a bad name the way Rama has got. But for Tulasidasa, Rama is God. Therefore, whatever he does, he only hunts an animal. There is no problem in Tulasi Ramayana at all. Only in Valmiki Ramayana, he got a problem. Then the next panel, 7-2. 7-2. Dharmaraja is facing the Mahabharata war. One day, Drona has told Duryodhana, by this evening, I will catch hold of Dharmaraja. If the king of the opposite side is captured, the war ends. Therefore, Krishna tells there is only one way to kill Drona. Drona is very fond of his son Ashwatthama. Therefore, you tell a lie that Ashwatthama is dead. Then Drona will simply stop fighting. At the time, Drishtadyumna, Draupadi's brother, who has sworn to kill Drona, he will go and kill him. Dharmaraja says, no, it is a lie. Arey Baba, you have got two options. One, you allow him to capture you, then the whole war ends. If Drona captures Dharmaraja, there is no war. The war will end on the 10th or 11th day. Therefore, there are certain occasions in life where to avoid a bigger calamity, you will have to do a smaller mistake. Therefore, Dharmaraja says, Ashwatthama, and in a lower voice he says, Iti Kunjara, one elephant. Therefore, there was an elephant in the army called Ashwatthama that was killed by perhaps Bhima or Gadotkaja, somebody. And then Drona, when he hears that, he is shocked, sits, he drops his weapon and sits, and Dhritarashtra goes and kills him. Therefore, there are certain occasions when to avoid a bigger calamity, one has to do a smaller calamity. It happens to everybody's life. Therefore, we already told, we have seen the story of Kaushika, when some thieves are chasing a very, very pious man. That pious man runs in front of Kaushika Muni. This Kaushika Muni, the thieves come and ask, we are going to kill that fellow, where is he? This Kaushika Muni shows him, he went this direction. The thieves pursue that man and kills him. The Papa comes on Kaushika Muni. He should have told, actually, we don't know where he went. Therefore, there are certain occasions where, therefore, Thiruvalluvar says, there are certain occasions, even untruth looks like a truth. It does the job of truth. It does good things. Therefore, you will have to tell lie. In the eyes of the common people, it will be an untruth, but in God's eyes, it will be truth. Therefore, Dharmaraja had to face this great dilemma, whether to tell an untruth in front of his teacher. Drona was his own beloved teacher. But to save his own life, I told you, for a Grahastha, he cannot put his life on mat. It is not permitted in the Shastra. I will die. Yes, unless he can say that. A Grahastha can never say that. A king can never say that. For him, saving his own life is the first punya sharira adyam kalu dharma sadham. The third, Arjuna's dharma sankat. In the Mahabharata war, panel number 3, 7-3. Arjuna, he sees in front of him his mama, his teachers, his grandfather, people, teacher's brother, teacher's son. Teacher's son is, the Shastra says, teacher's wife and son are to be respected as the teacher himself. Therefore, whether it is Ashwatthama, whether it is Kripa, whether it is Drona, these are the most respected people. And for Bhishma, he has grown on the lap of Bhishma. Bhishma has searched for the best teachers of the country, and he has trained. Now, fate has put Arjuna in such a way, for the sake of dharma, he has to fight with his grandfather, his own teachers, his own monitor, upa-teacher, his own teacher's son, his own uncle. What is this? I will rather die. Then Krishna applies the same rule. You will have to see whether you will have to kill your teacher or allow adharma. If Duryodhana takes over the whole world, what will happen? Every woman will be treated like a Draupadi. The fate of Draupadi, which is one woman's suffering, it will be the suffering of all the women of the country. You cannot allow such a thing. Therefore, you forget you are an individual. You are a protector of dharma. All your life, whenever there is an opportunity, you have shown that you are a warrior. When you met Shiva, Shiva offered you moksha. He said, no, I don't want moksha. I don't want Shiva Padavi. I wanted Pashupata Astra so that I can use that for protection of dharma. Therefore, you are a Kshatriya by birth, you are a Kshatriya by training, you are a Kshatriya by your own choice. And today, the circumstances expect you to show your Kshatriya dharma, not a sannyasa dharma. You can imagine what kind of sankat Arjuna might have been put. It comes to every one of life. Sometimes we will say Marjana acha, it is better to die than to face such a problem. But heroes, they face such a problem. Eknathji, when his father died, the family is in poverty. Then people say that you will have to earn money. He tells his sister-in-law, you choose, ma, whether I have to serve the small family of Ranade, I have to serve the big family of Bharat Desha. That lady, like any Indian woman, she says, you go and serve the nation. An able-bodied young man given up when the family is suffering of poverty, what a great tyaga. Therefore, in all our life, this dharma sankata we have to face today, tomorrow, or day after tomorrow. Before we die, it comes again. Again, Rama and Dasharatha. Everybody says when Dasharatha asks Rama to go to the forest, he immediately went. He is a very obedient children. There is another episode in the Ramayana. Dasharatha says, this has not happened with my wholehearted decision. Therefore, you do one thing. You imprison me. You put me behind the bars. And you rule the kingdom. You take over the kingdom. Rama says, I will not obey you. Therefore, when your father asks you to give up the whole kingdom and go to forest, Rama, he follows the ruling of his father. He is Pitru Shasana. But the same father, he tells him, you put me behind the bar, you chain me, you take over the kingdom and run. Rama says no. Again, the Dharma Sankara. Rama knows that Dasharatha cannot live without him. It is only a question of time that Dasharatha dies. If he goes to the forest, within a few days, he is going to get the news that Dasharatha is going to die. But what a choice. This is the kind of people who establish why we say Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. When father says you give up, he gives up. Not one. When Guha says you give up the kingdom, you take my kingdom, he says I don't want it. When Sugriva says you rule my kingdom, he says I don't want it. When Bharata says you come back to our kingdom, he says I don't want it. When again Vibhishna says you come and become the king of Lanka, he says no. 5 times Rama says he is not attracted. That is the kind of sacrifice of which heroes are made. But even heroes are tested through and through. Rama, what kind of test, the fire ordeal he has to undergo. Therefore, this Dasharatha episode also. And then finally, the Dharmaraja. You all know that Yaksha Prashna. In the forest, there is a water pond. All the 4 brothers go to bring water for Dharmaraja. There is a Yaksha, there is a Bhutam. He says, you answer my questions before taking the water. Bhima says, I have not undergone any training in VK Yogas or Vivekananda Kendra. I will not answer these questions. I will drink water first. The Bhutam says, the Yaksha says, will fall down. Okay, I will see. He drinks the water and falls down. Arjuna says, I can kill you, but I will not answer your questions. I will not obey anybody. The Yaksha warns him, if you drink water without me answering my questions, you will fall down. He also drinks the water and falls. Then it happens in Nakula. At last, Dharmaraja is faced. Dharmaraja answers the Yaksha, the Bhutam. The Yama himself has come in the form of Yaksha. He asks 100 questions about our Dharma. He answers all the questions. What is the greatest thing? The father is the greatest. What is the most worshipable thing? Your mother is the most worshipable. What is the greatest wonder of the world? Everybody, every day, human beings are dying. I don't think I will also die one day. I will go on committing sin. This is the greatest fun of the world. When Dharmaraja answers all the questions, then the Yaksha Bhutam said, I am going to give one brother back to life. You choose which brother you want. Then Dharmaraja, you can imagine the suffering, the mental agony Dharmaraja might have undergone. He chooses only Dharmaraja can do it. You see, you give me back Nakula, who has got the wide shoulders and beautiful life, a good looking brother Nakula I give. Now it is the turn for the Yama to be surprised. Arey, Bhima has taken the vow that he will kill Duryodhana and avenge Draupadi. Arjuna is going to fight with Karna. Instead of asking for Bhima and Arjuna, who will protect Dharma, you are going to ask Nakula, who is not even a famous warrior. Then Dharmaraja says, neither Bhima will protect me, nor Arjuna will protect me. It is Dharma that will protect me. My father had two wives, Kunti and Madri. I am there to take my mother Kunti's name. My father's other wife, Madri, I want one son to take her name. Therefore, I want Nakula to be alive. Then the Yamara is so happy that he gives all the brothers back to life. Friends, Dharma is not very easy to follow. But every time you pass the examination, you come out stronger, holier, and happier. That is the happy life that we all pray that following Dharma we will have in our own life. We will meet tomorrow once again. Thank you very much.